Hello and welcome back to Costa Rica's Travel and Living Podcast. I am your host today, Jessica Lisaius, Senior Travel Consultant with Costa Rica Vacations and the NAMU Travel Group. Thank you so much for following along. We've got a super exciting chat going on today. If you guys are loving this podcast, feel free to give us a thumbs up, follow along, give us a like, and share with your friends. Today we are joined with Chelsea. She's the #1 pickleball enthusiast here in Costa Rica. And we're here in Tamarindo meeting with her to talk about all things pickleball.
I'm ready. I'm ready
so
for this.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And when you told me it was about pickleball, I was like, I can talk about this for hours. So we're good.
Awesome. So I think maybe you start off telling everyone about how you got here to Costa Rica. I think by your accent, perhaps we can tell that you're not from or born here in Costa Rica.
Correct.
But how you got here into Costa Rica and kind of how you got into the pickleball world.
Yeah, no, I can answer all these questions. So I moved here in 2008. So if you do the math, I'm pretty sure that was 16 years ago. I moved to Costa Rica right after college.
Okay.
So graduated from college. I came here once on spring break. I thought it was amazing. I came down here with one of my friends and we worked at a surf camp and hostel. We did the perfect out of college trip.
And where was that?
In Playa Grande.
Okay.
So right here. And I did not speak Spanish and I could not surf. So whole family was like, oh God, you just got a college education and this is what you chose. And I was like, yeah, I got this. And I was like, okay, it'll only be 3 months. I'm going to try it out. 3 months came and left and I was still there for another year and a half. I then kind of was done with that. Kind of by my choice and kind of more forced by my parents. So after that, I worked at a private school. I wanted to be a science teacher. That was my whole dream. So I got a job teaching science. I worked there for a year and a half and then I founded my own private school. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got here, how I'm still going. My school's called Tide Academy. It's here in Tamarindo. After that, I have 2 little girls now with my wonderful husband. And after the second one was born in 2020 was when I found pickleball. My parents had played it and showed me about it. I was a big tennis player and field hockey player, so I was all about it. I was exactly what you call the banger in pickleball, where I just was like, oh, I don't have to go up to the net. I'm just gonna hit it hard. And then I learned that it was here. I discovered it here in Tamarindo at 15 Love, where I had been playing tennis.
Okay.
And I started playing, and it was perfect.
It's interesting, right? I never played tennis. I was always terrible at tennis. I'm a newbie in the pickleball world, but love it. My husband and I are addicted. It's one of those sports that you just
you
judge everybody that plays it until you play it, and you're like, shoot, now I'm one of those people.
I was talking so much about you.
But you go there, you're like, oh, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I like CrossFitters. I got this, and you're like, oh wait. Nope. No.
Nope. The 75-year-old woman beat me every game, and you're like, this is not how it's supposed to be. So
love it.
But yeah.
So here in Costa Rica, I think pickleball has been this thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at least where we live in the La Fortuna area, one day we didn't have it, and the next we did, and now it's this huge thing.
Yeah, I'd say pretty similar. I think the cool thing here, and I wasn't when it started here, but it did start pretty early in Tamarindo by this group of expats and Ticos who had been playing probably 5 years before it kind of took off during COVID.
Okay.
So they had formed a club. I didn't really know about this sport at that time at all, or about this club, and actually his name is Manuel. He doesn't live here anymore, but he used to own Ovea Negra, one of the hostels here. So he kind of founded a club here in Tamarindo, and then it really took off though. Exactly what you said, like when it started, all of a sudden when you heard the word pickleball, you're like, oh, no one plays that, it's from the old person sport, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden everyone has a court.
Well, right, and it's like, I remember that we always knew that there was, so we have a house in Pacifico in Coco. We had recently just made some courts there. We knew that there was one here in Tamarindo, one in Pinilla, and kind of San Jose. And we're like, okay, there's like these 4 in the whole country, according to us.
Yeah.
And now,
every time.
a year and a half later, what do you think? Like, how many courts do you think there are here in Costa Rica?
I gotta say, there's over 20 destinations, probably clubs or ones where you could rent a court. I bet there's more now. I know there's more private courts going up. I think now maybe in like a 30-minute radius of Tamarindo, we have to have we probably have 8 different places, that you could play. Do I play all those? No. Like there's two that are much easier to get to, but I know they're trying to put some up in Waucus. I know in Mar Vista they have them. I know in Margaritaville and Flamingo there's courts. So there's courts everywhere now.
And I think it's really cool because it's a sport that, last week I was kind of helping the company write an article about it too, because it's just this thing that people are starting to request. But it's this sport that it doesn't, the racket doesn't weigh very much. You just throw it in your suitcase with a few balls and you've already got.
Like I have one with me right now.
Right. And you can easily pick it up and play during your trip if you have a family that's active and wants to be, kind of on the go, or maybe play in the morning and then do tours in the afternoon, or vice versa.
And I don't think just that. I think also, like, I play a lot here. Like my daily routine kind of goes around my job, and then I go to pickleball. But what I have found is I do a lot of tournaments in the States now. And through that, like, I think being older, I'm not that old, but I'm 38, that if you don't really have those outlets, like especially being like parents of young kids, the outlets to make new friends. Like it's really hard. You don't do a bar. You don't go, to the beach and like try to make new friends. You're not gonna like jump on the sunset cruise and meet new people. And the pickleball community is amazing. So doing these tournaments, or even the little tournaments here in Costa Rica, you meet so many new people. And that's something I think you don't get to do a lot.
Well, I think it's this community, right? Like, tell me about what the pickleball community, at least what you see, like, there's different backgrounds and countries and cultures. It's kind of become this like melting pot. Like you said, it's an easy way to meet people and be active at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of get all my checklists in one thing. It's like the gym, it's like all that, stress
social
you hit
hour.
up, and then the social hour. And like it's all in the exact same block. I can go home, have dinner, and be like, I had a great day. Every day playing pickleball is great to me. So I always love it. But exactly, it's a huge melting pot. We have tons of expats. Obviously, it's a sport that I think was kind of brought here a little bit more the US-Canada side. But now I see so many actual like Costa Ricans coming into it. And then here in Tamarindo, we have a whole French community, we have an Italian community, Argentinian community. And that's something that always attracted me to Tamarindo, was how much of a melting pot it is and how many different cultures and languages you experience every day. And pickleball kind of, mirrors that here as well.
I love it. And if you could talk just for a second, as someone who's really new in this sport and is not number one in the country, I think maybe you could chat a little bit about what does the range look like? Like if I'm someone who's played for 2 months, can I play somewhere?
Perfect.
If I'm someone who's trying to train and be a little bit more competitive, is there somewhere I can go? Who comes to this country to play? Like if you could kind of talk about the range, because maybe someone who's listening to this podcast is like, hey, I've played 3 times and I really like it, and I'm going to Costa Rica. Can I play somewhere?
Yeah, no, you can. So I don't know the whole country in itself, but I can share a little bit on that. Is in this area, there is clinics. There's beginner clinics you can get in Tamarindo every week. There's beginner clinics at Hacienda Pinilla. In Mar Vista, at Club El Dorado, they have beginner clinics every single week. Wow. So there's scheduled times, whether it be in the week, maybe you drop your kids off and then you can do a lesson, and then there's also weekend clinics. And they have one that's literally called I've Never Played Pickleball. So like there is one for everyone. For the more advanced players, I would say there is advanced play at all the open plays. We're not at the point where we're so exclusive that the advanced players are like finding a private time to play. All of us still do open play here, which is still something if there's players in the States, it's very different for them. Like a lot of those now schedule their own private time to play and may not go to open plays. But here, open play, I would say, is a ranking style. It's like a 3-5, meaning, I don't know, do you know what that is, Jess? No.
Nope.
Perfect. 3-5 is like, you know the game, you're going to get the ball over consistently, and can play a match, a friendly match. So I'd say open play here in Mar Vista. I don't know the Flamingo schedule. We'll have to look that one up. And Tamarindo, that happens every single 2 to 3 to 4 times a week.
And I'd say in Fortuna, at least from what me and my husband, we've done and seen and play ourselves, like the few courts that are there, you can rent them. Yeah. So if you've got a family, of 2 teenage kids that you want to go play with, or even like Margaritaville here in Flamingo, you can just, those courts are included even if you've got the all-inclusive package. So I think there are more options, but I think it's important to note that like you don't have to be an expert or a pro to come play and join a community.
And I mean, the other side of it is that there's also tons of retreats with like the top pros in USA coming to Costa Rica. So you can find those that then come to like the different destinations. So here there's some in Pania. They have like an 8-bedroom house, and you can rent out the whole house, and they like include pros, and there's all these different packages with like a private chef and all these things. And then in 15 Love in Tamarindo, it's a bed and breakfast. So you can literally rent a room that's looking at the courts.
And how many courts are there?
There's 6 courts.
Oh, wow.
So you can like rent it and literally wake up, have your breakfast because they make you breakfast, and then walk onto the court, like every day.
For the true
addicts or not addicts. Like I know there were some that like have just been coming. Like I've seen because I play there a lot, and they're like looking at the porch, and then they're just like, I think I'm gonna try it, and they literally leave the room, ask for one of the paddles because they have paddles, and they just go down and they play. But there's tons of coaches in the area. In Coco, there's Fernanda. She's amazing. Here we have plenty of coaches, and you always schedule like a private lesson. I always say if you're beginner, get one private lesson just to get all those like weird questions out, and then you just can enter like open play a little more confident.
Well, I think what's really cool too is like there's tournaments all over the country.
Oh yeah, we're loving them here.
Like year round.
Yeah, I would say almost every weekend. You could find something almost.
We went to one 2 weeks ago in San Ramon, I think,
yeah.
and that one was super fun. It was in the middle of a coffee field. Like someone who's coming to Costa Rica and wants to experience the country.
In the mountain, like in the hills,
mountains, in a
beautiful.
coffee field, like a coffee plantation. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool too, is that you could do 2 nights in San Jose and go play at Bolea, or you could go to Fortuna and play at Tilahari for 2 or 3 nights, and then come over here and play for 4 or 5 nights, maybe get some classes in.
No, and on top for the tournaments, they're not using any of those online systems like to register. So usually you can still register the day of. So let's say you're like here and you're like, oh my God, there's a tournament there this weekend. Can I sign up? Probably. So like just in here, they have the different levels. It's not like you have to be pro to be in a tournament. There's always a beginner like category, and then there's intermediate and then advanced. So they make sure, if you go into and you've never played, you're not playing against like the best in the country.
Right.
From the first.
And they're relatively big. I mean, it's not like you'd be the only intermediate or the only beginner, it's...
No, they're like 100 plus people now in these tournaments. The country's injected. Like I would say just since I started 4 years ago here, the growth has been amazing. Like I've seen like from one tournament a year to like we just said, every weekend. And the growth of people. And not even just the growth of the number, but also the level is improving so fast. Like I used to enter tournaments and I was like, all right, gonna win. Like it kind of was almost, it is sad, and I'm not that great. This doesn't happen in the States for me, but here it was a very guaranteed win for a woman here. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really gotta work my butt off. Like the girls are getting great, the guys are amazing. Like it's a really high level.
It is, it's really cool to see. And of course I would love to hear for my own personal benefit. Tell me about your kind of the road to becoming #1 in Costa Rica and going to Peru.
So this is the second year they've done this. So the thing in Peru is called the Pickleball World Cup. So Peru started this last year, and they invited or organized, I'm not entirely sure, over 24 different countries last year. They all came to Lima, Peru, and I think it was a 2-day event. And they do it a rally scoring way. So each team is 2 men, 2 women, and you do 1 women's game, 1 women's doubles, 1 men's doubles, and then 2 mixed. So everyone has to play. And in that last year, Costa Rica got 5th place. I didn't get to go last year. I went and did a tournament I did the nationals in US. So that was an amazing experience too. But I was really bummed I couldn't figure out both. Like literally I tried to see if I could get a plane from like Texas to Peru that Saturday. Like I tried my hardest, but we got 5th overall, which is amazing. And so this year though, after seeing how well Costa Rica did, Costa Rica was injected this year. They really wanted to send even a better team. So many more people wanted the opportunity and things like that. So what they did was a selection, and they invited the top 24 men in the country and the top 12 women in the country. We're still catching up. A few more ladies like, come on, Jess, you're there. You can get there.
Give me another 2 more years.
Okay. And we had to do a full day from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. tournament.
And how many games did you play that day?
36.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I woke up that morning and we stayed, it was in San Ramon at the coffee field, pretty much,
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard. Like, this is a lot.
And were you out in the sun, or were they covered courts?
There were some that were covered, some were not. Fortunately, I got to be in the covered ones.
Okay.
Which is really nice.
Because 36 games under this Costa Rican sun?
Yeah, no, that was like crazy.
It's in of itself its own competition.
They were like, and I will say, it wasn't like 2 out of 3, matches or games. It was a game to 15 or 11, win by 2, rally scoring.
Okay.
So the games were ranging
Faster.
between, from like 8 minutes to 15 minutes per game. So still a lot of playing. And the scariest thing is every single match counted so much towards your overall ranking at the end. So at one point, and in this, the top 4 women made the team. So that's kind of how it worked. Wow. So it was a lot of pressure. If you lost a match, and the way they did is you didn't get your guaranteed partner. Maybe you're like, I always play with Fernanda here. It wasn't like I got to play with Fernanda the whole time. They mixed every single person. So you're playing with people you've never played with, against people you've never played. So it was always a different partner after every 3 matches. So with that being said, it was a lot, like mentally, a lot of strategy, and every match counted. So at the end of that, I came out number 1. Which was awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really tired after that. And that's kind of, from that I got chosen for the team.
And so is that how they're going to play in Peru too?
We're still figuring out. The men's selection finishes next weekend.
Okay.
So once we know that they're down to the final 8 men, but there's this 24, so they needed a little bit more time. Once we know those 4, we'll see how they're going to pair it up. Okay. I'm not entirely sure yet. But
and how long is that tournament or that championship game?
In Peru? In
Peru,
it's going to be. I'll be going on Friday and I come back Monday, so it's a 2-day event.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing.
Well, that's super exciting.
So I think they're going to have last year was 24. I think they're having over 30 countries this year.
That's so awesome.
And a lot of pros are going down, not to play. This is kind of. It's not like the pros of the world, it's like the best amateurs in the world is the way to look at it. So you're not allowed to have a ranking of over 5.4. They're considering like a 5.5 would be a low level pro now.
Okay.
6.0 plus is pro. But you can't be over a 5.4 in your ranking. And but we have a lot of pros going to host it. Kyle Yates is one of the hosts. I think Dalen Frazier will be there. All these others. Hannah Johns, who is Ben Johns' sister, will be actually the announcer and things like that.
Very nice.
So I think overall it's just going to be a really cool, international experience. And these are the steps that I know pickleball is taking to try to get into the Olympics. Because to become an Olympic sport, I think you need over 60 countries playing the sport. It might be more, maybe 70. I could be way off. Don't fact check me, please. But you need like all these countries to do it. So these are those steps initiating that. Like, look, every country wants to play. Let's do it. I don't know if you're going to ask, but I know I'm not Costa Rican and I know I'm representing Costa Rica. But for the World Cup, you just have to be a resident.
Okay.
So
and you are. Your children were born here.
Yep, and I've been a resident before them. So I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to represent my adopted country.
Oh, I love it. And I think the coolest thing for me in this sport, some people want to call it a fad, some people, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, what this country does for people, communities, and now look at countries, bringing them together and sharing this common denominator of the love for the sport, regardless of whether you want to call it an Olympic sport or not, is still really cool.
Yeah, I think that's what, I'm super excited. I'm a really competitive person, but I'm really trying to take a step back and just looking at it in general, how cool is it to go under a flag of something, whether, be, like you said, Olympic level or not, to do that and share it with so many other people, and see all these other countries and, I'm just very excited to enjoy the moment and see what it's like. So it's a month away.
Well, we will be cheering you on,
thank you.
representing Costa Rica. And I think maybe to close out, I just want to ask you, what do you think is the future of pickleball, whether it be, globally or here in Costa Rica?
I only see it growing. I know there's been talks of making bigger places with more courts, and I would love, a dream of mine would to see a PPA or an APP event in Costa Rica, and that's, those are the big pro tours in the States. So it'd be really cool to see those stretch a little more international. And it's not that far to have them travel here, I feel, to Costa Rica, because everyone can travel here. But I think that would be a really amazing thing. I think it's already an amazing pickleball destination itself because of what you said before. The tours here, the nature, all these other things that you're getting and playing pickleball, you can't replicate anywhere else. So my goal is to get more of a youth programs going, getting it into the schools here. There's not a lot of excuses not to play pickleball, I think, is the thing. Like you said, someone's converting their garage into a pickleball court. Like
right.
You can put a pickleball court really anywhere. It's what, a fourth of a tennis court.
Right.
So I expect to see more of it.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to see it grow too, even as super amateurs,
Yeah.
but lovers of the sport. And thank you,
The more the
anyone
better. Yeah.
listening that has participated in, anything pickleball or, opening a court or supporting the sport in local communities. It really is a cool, semi-new thing, and it's cool to be able to participate. So.
No, it's fun seeing it grow. Like I think that's something I love seeing. I love seeing, anything start really small and just more and more people enjoying it.
And it's so fast.
So fast. The growth here has been crazy.
The growth here, literally when we started playing, just kind of
hitting around,
around a year and a half ago, I think there were like 4 courts that anybody knew of.
Yeah.
And now there's 20 plus.
No,
in a year and a half.
I think even just a smaller, really same kind of comparison. Last year for the women's selection, there was only 2 women they could select from who could go. Those are the 2 that went.
Wow.
So like just in that size, we had to do play-in tournaments to even make it to the top 12. So just in that sense, they had 2 last year, and now there was over 12. I don't know the exact number in the play-in tournaments, but like just that is a very small 1-year growth, which is radical, actually. I think so.
Well, thank you for going and representing Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Thanks for chatting today. We are super honored to have you on here, and we'll leave Chelsea's information here below if anyone wants to reach out about all things pickleball in Guanacaste. She's also got a really awesome school here that brings the community together even more. So we'll leave her information down here below. Thanks for everyone for following along, and we'll be in touch. Pura vida.